Hey, what's up, everybody? This is our Thursday lunch bite. And y'all, if you see me talking crazy, that's because things are really crazy on this side. This side right here, when it got a root canal and it's still just as numb as it wants to be. Um, but see, look, yeah, like I'm trying to like make my lips straight, and then you see I'm trying to cut all the things. But you know what? The reason why I decided to go ahead and come on because many of us make excuses for not showing up for ourselves and our businesses. Even when we haven't had something as big as a root canal, we're like, oh, I'm too fat, or I look this way, or I sound this way, or my hair. Listen, my mouth is going two different ways. So, hey, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. And you're gonna hear me say some words that I'm not even gonna be able to pronounce. See, you see how I tried to hit that P and it ain't hit right. But the thing is that I want you to make sure that you are showing up for yourself because that's what it's about. That's what it means to be a kingdom entrepreneur. Like Jesus didn't make up excuses for not showing up. He showed up despite it all. And so today we're going to be talking about busy tips for kingdom builders, I think, or business boss babes or something like that. The team came up with the title. For those of you who don't know me, I am Coach LaDondra Hervey. And then over here to my other side, it's Coach Don Shannon, and we're with LaDondraHervey.com. And y'all, we bring these lunch bites every Thursday for you to be able to glean what you're needing in this time and in this season. You know, what I will say is don't be the type of person where you're just a hearer of the word, but do something with what you're receiving. There's always a little small nugget that can shift your thinking or shift the way that you're doing. And so we've been covering relationship marketing this entire month because relationships are so important. They are the lifeblood of your business. And without those, then you have nothing. Why do you think that Jesus had 12 disciples around him? It wasn't because he needed them, like, because he's Jesus, but he was setting a powerful example for us. You see that example? He's setting a powerful example for us so we will be able to know how to establish ourselves, our businesses, and we can collaboratively come together as kingdom builders. So, without further ado, I'm going to allow Coach Don to take us into some of our topics, and I'm going to give this beautiful smile a rest.
Well, Coach Ladondra, we are so glad that you showed up today and you just keep showing up because it's not just today, but like you said, there's so many other things, right, that have happened in your life. And she's trying to drink from the straw.
Yeah, y'all going to see the real deal. Like, let me show you. Look,
She,
can't even sit this down. We're just done. Back to you.
you know what? But that's the beauty of it. And that's also the beauty of having a team, right? Who you can laugh with and they keep encouraging you to keep showing up and no matter what. So kudos to you, sis, for hopping on today and to staying, true to you and your platform and your audience. So really, really proud of you for being here. And I hope that your tooth feels better soon and that wears off. I know that's not a fun feeling. So, yeah, guys, today we are talking about tips for busy biblical bosses. And so, tip number one we want to talk about this is for relationship building, relationship marketing, right? Tip number one is the tools that you can use to help you really organize the follow up. Right? Because it's one thing to reach out, but then it's another thing to have that follow up. The saying is the fortune is in the follow up, right? So if you don't have systems in place to follow up with your outreach, then your outreach is futile. Okay. You've got to have the follow up. So what are some of those systems and tools that we use that we can share about for you to follow up with your people? Sorry, I'm getting my chair all together here now. All right. So tool number one is a CRM. Okay. Customer relationship management tool. There's a lot of different CRMs out there that you can use. There's like HubSpot, Kajabi, different things like that, right?
Yeah.
What?
MailChimp. There's so
Mailchimp.
many. Yeah.
Yep, yep, exactly. There's so many. So what that looks like is that you have your contacts that are put into that system. And then some systems just they're all different, right? But most of them allow you to keep notes of the conversations that you've had, put in dates of your touch points, right? Because there's different data out there, but it takes several touch points to reach the client to get that conversion rate, okay? Because you're not going to just reach out to them once and be like, oh, well, they never, they never responded. I guess they're not interested. Y'all, how did you reach out to them, right? We all have different modes of communication that we prefer. Even on our dream team, we've got a conference coming up in September. We have a dream team of women who are so amazingly just pouring back into us for this conference, right? But I don't know how many are on the dream team, 9 or so. One's like, oh, I need Facebook Messenger. One's like, I need an email. One's like, I need a text. Everybody has a different form of communication that works best for them. So if you're only hitting up your clients or potential clients with one form of communication, they might have never seen that, right? And you're taking it personally like, oh, well, they never followed up. I guess I didn't say it right. Or I guess I didn't, they're not interested, or all these crazy things that we talk about in our head, right? That we say, oh, they don't want my service, or they don't believe in me, or they this or they that. Sis, they might not have even seen what you put out because you only put it out once and you didn't follow up. So this CRM was going to help you to keep track of who you're reaching out to, how you're reaching out to them, and how often, and even their responses. So it just kind of is a compilation of everything that you're doing to build that relationship, to help just maintain that outreach, that touch point, because you're going to have to keep touching them over and over again, sometimes for years before they decide to work with you. And that's okay. They've got stuff going on in their life. You're just going to keep showing up, just like Coach LaDondra did today. You're going to keep showing up. Okay. So that's tool number 1. Tool number 2, if you don't have, sometimes CRMs can cost a lot of money, right? If you're on that startup phase and you don't have a lot of money, Google is your friend. So Google has a Google Sheet that's shareable. So if you do have a teammate or somebody that, you want to share that with, you guys can work off that same sheet, and it's live. You can actually see when they're in there. You can see the changes that they're making, live, real time. But that's a good way to also keep track, and it's totally free. It's just like an Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't have, knowledge of Google Sheet, then take it off into the Excel spreadsheet. Totally doable. Just set up your tabs at the bottom for different things you need to track up, or, different columns on the one sheet. Your name, again, email, phone number, address if you have physical products to send to them, all notes, ways of communication. Did you reach out to them via Facebook, via Instagram, via LinkedIn, via email? All the different ways you can put that in that spreadsheet, and then dates of when you did that. It is so critical to stay on top of that it just, $1 million industries are built around relationship marketing. And it's really important to have those tools. Use your calendar, right? If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. If you have, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but if you have daily outreach on your calendar and you are committed to that with consequences, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you're going to get it done. And it's going to be a reminder. Oh yeah, I need to do this every day. This is important for me. This is important for my business. Put it on your calendar so that it's like an alert. It goes off every day. It's like, ding. Okay, it's time to get busy. It's time to do my outreach. Set aside that time, which is point number 2. But Coach LaDondra, I'm going to let you add anything to that, tools that maybe I missed, or something you want to add.
Yeah, so there's a few things. Number 1 is I think I've talked about this in some of the last sessions. The relationship marketing is so important, because if you're trying to make withdrawals from somewhere you have never made deposits at, then you're not going to see the success that you're desiring in your business. And so you really have to be intentional on following up, connecting first, and then following up. we have to get past ourselves and stop making the excuses, just like I had to start do today. And don't make the excuses, cricket mouth, and all the things. But the thing is that you know what? Your people who are your people, they're gonna love you regardless. But you gotta follow up. So Coach Don mentioned a few tools. MailChimp, if they still have it, there's a free version of that. There's a HubSpot. They used to have a free version. I don't know if they still have that same free version. Man, free ain't going too good. And there's others that they'll offer based on where you are. And many of you are at that place where you're able to get the free version. If not, then go with the Google Sheets. Like, let's eliminate all the excuses. And when you use Google Sheets, then you're going to have to use Google Calendar to connect it to it so you can set up alerts to let you know, oh, okay, like I need to follow up with Susie in 2 days, or I need to follow up with Susie in 3 weeks, whatever. But when you're following up, you want to be intentional about offering something of value. You want to make sure that you're following up and you're not coming at it with an energy that's like, oh, they don't like me. It don't take it personal. People are busy, okay? Um, and then it was something else that you had said, Coach Don. I can't remember, but just make sure that you are being intentional with. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. There's another one with Trello. You can use Trello. You can use Asana. There's some other versions of those project management boards. And so when you're following up with somebody, you can move it over. Like, so say for instance, you had a column of people that you said, okay, I want to follow up with these people, and based on where they are, you can set other columns. This is a 2 week or 1 day, 3 day, 2 week, whatever. And after you made that first contact, then just move them over to the next one and to the next one and to the next one, because typically it takes 8 touch points. And when you look at that, think about like a relationship. Most of the time you're not going to go somebody come pursue you, you're the guy of your dreams, or he may not even be your dreams, like it was with my husband. I was like, I'm not trying to talk to you, but he was persistent with his follow-ups, and so he made sure that he was allowing space for me to get to know him and what he was about. And the same is true with us in our businesses. We have to create space to allow for the person on the other side to see who we are, what we're about, and build that know, like, trust factor. So that's another free tool that you can use, is things like that. Asana, Trello. There's other ones I can't remember the name, but Google it. And Google is your best friend on this scenario. All right, Coach Don, take us to the next one.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Trello because that is a super great tool that you can use. You can set up boards, all kinds of, prospecting board, sales board, marketing board. And that's just, those tools are invaluable for sure. And I love how our project manager, Amber Stovall, she helps our clients set that up. And it's just really phenomenal. So the second tip for busy biblical boss babes is managing your time. And I talked about this just a minute ago. Okay. And I want to shout out, hey, Carmen, who's watching us. Hey, Loretta, thanks you guys for being here today. Managing your time. Ladies, this is so important. And this kind of alludes back to the calendar, right? When you're putting those times on your calendar, you're time blocking, right? You've got all these tasks to do throughout the day. Remember to put all of your tasks on your calendar, including your home life, your family life, right? Because you don't want to conflict there with your business and your family. So put those things on there. Even if you have to set on Google Calendar, you can set the appointment to free or busy. So I don't know if you know that, but if you're linking up a calendar, some kind of calendar scheduling system, like with your clients, like Calendly, go on your personal calendar. And if it's free, like you have a space to put that in for a potential client, go ahead and put free. But if you're busy, then mark it out as busy. No one can interrupt you. Okay. That's really super important. But when you're thinking about what you're putting on your calendar, especially when it comes to the relationship marketing piece of it and doing those follow-ups, doing that outreach, when are you at your best? Okay. When are you energetically at your best, right? Because you don't want to be coming into your clients when you're feeling low, when you're feeling depleted, when your cup is empty. Okay. You need to be filled up. You need to be filled up. You need to be excited to reach out. You need to be excited about what you're reaching out about, right? That's your purpose. That's your why. So knowing your why, knowing your purpose, that you are reaching out to them to pour value back into them to help fill up their cup, that is super important, because you don't want to come at it relationship building with any kind of depleted energy, right? So when is that time for you? Is it early mornings? Is it midday? Is it late in the evening? When are you energetically at your best? Put that on your calendar consistently, okay? And be ready to follow up. It is so important to have that follow up and to have it scheduled and to have those audible reminders, right? The alarms, bells going off, whatever it is, to make sure that you are managing your time, okay? Managing your time is super important, and we want you to be effective in that. So use the tools that are out there, use the resources. Y'all, I have stuff on my phone. I have alarms on my phone going off all the time. You know, most of them are affirmation alarms, right? But some of them are, hey, don't forget to do this alarm, right? Um, we've got Google Assistant, we've got Siri Assistant, Alexa Assistant, all these, you know, robotic assistants now that they come with our devices, right? They're totally free. Use them to help you manage your time. That is a game changer, right, Coach Ladondra? I think you've Amber's been helping us with that, and use your assistant. She can help us out. So that's been a real game changer as well to help manage our time. What do you have to add to that, Coach Ladondra?
No, I think you covered that section very well. I will just say this: make sure you. One thing that Coach Don just pointed out was know your why. If you don't really know your why and you're not committed to your why, there's two different things. Knowing it and being committed to it is two different things. And by you scheduling time on your calendar shows your commitment to building those relationships and you being intentional with your outreach and your kingdom collaboration and all of that. And so, because we talk about what I've noticed, and I'm just going to be real with you because that's that. Hey, this is the coach that you're rolling with. Is that we talk a good game, but many of us are not follow through. We don't follow through on the game that we're speaking, and we're continuing to repeat the same year over and over and wondering why we're getting the same result. Well, you don't have a routine in place. You got to have a routine. The Bible talks about the discipline. It may at first it may be painful, but at the end it is so rewarding. And see, you putting time on your calendar, that is your discipline to show up and to serve. See, we talk about being servant leaders, but then we're not willing to put ourselves to the side and make committed time to serve the people that we know that we've been called to serve by reaching out to them. And when there's not a system in place for your time blocking, what you're going to do is you're going to procrastinate, or you're not going to do it at all. You're going to make up excuses and say all of these reasons of why you can't show up. Sis, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself, because this is about kingdom building. Kingdom building is about legacy. And so if we are about legacy, then we're going to set ourselves up. We're going to do daily things over time that's going to set us up for the success that we're truly wanting to manifest into our future, and then where we want to manifest into our children's future, because these relationships you're building today benefit your children, they benefit your community, they benefit you in the long term. And so many times we have a short sight, and we haven't expanded our sight and expanded our vision of why we're doing what we're doing, and we're repeating things. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I do want us to come to a place to where we're like, you know what, this is not just only important and I'm saying I'm going to do it, but I'm committed, and I'm going to look at my schedule. I'm going to time block, and then I'm going to choose what frequency. These F's and P's, what frequency. I have to do it again because it's just funny. What's my frequency and who I'm going to like how many times per week, and then how much time per day. And then once you look back at that, you'll be so proud of yourself. You're just going to be like, oh my gosh, like I did that. Because Don and I each week are reaching out to 100 people. per week. And when you put it on the schedule, it's not as hard as you think. Now, I'm not saying it's not painful, but it's not as hard as you think. But you just got to start building you up a discipline. So we can roll into the next point and talk about consequences, because if you don't have a consequence to show up for yourself, you're not going to show up for yourself. So
Yep.
one thing that we have in place is consequences. So if we don't show up, because okay, listen, think about this. You no longer have a boss over you that's saying, hey, because you're not an employee, you are an entrepreneur, you're a kingdom builder. So you have to put systems in place that's going to hold you accountable. Since you don't have a boss to boss you around, you got to have systems to set yourself up for success. Part of that system is you setting up consequences for yourself for not showing up. And it needs to be a motivating consequence that's going to motivate you into action to show up and do the thing that you said you were going to do. So for me, money is a motivating thing. I'm not giving you my money if, like, because I'm not showing up. Like, so I told Coach Don, if I don't show up and do my outreach, I have to give her $50. $50 for me not showing up, that makes absolutely no sense. So there's been time where I've been like exhausted, y'all. If y'all see what be happening over here, like, and then I still it's like, but I'm not giving Coach Don $50. I do know that. The other part is that even when you say, hey, I'm sick, I'm not gonna show. Listen, it's time to get past the excuses and to show up for ourselves. Because if we don't show up for ourselves, who else is? Coach Don, talk about your consequence and how that motivated you, because yours is totally different. And I want y'all to see this, because you got to pick something that's good for you.
Right, right, exactly. So for me, I'm all about food. So I'm like, y'all, food is very important to me. I'm eating all day, like all day. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat until I do my outreach. So y'all, that means I had to get motivated to get my butt up out of bed and get the outreach done early in the morning because I wanted to eat, right? And so that was very, very motivating. One day I didn't get to eat till after 3 o'clock. And I was like, oh gosh, what is happening here, right? But I was holding to my commitment. Now I will say that there were a couple days I had some cheats.
3.
3 days. Oh gosh,
That's
3 days.
just a couple.
3 days
That's why
cheats.
you need
Okay.
somebody in your corner that's going to hold you accountable. And that's the whole point. I want you to finish, but I did want to point that out.
Yeah, and that's so true, right? Because when you're doing it by yourself, it's easy to cheat, right? It's easy to it's easy to go off the rails and not do what you say you're going to do. So, here comes Coach Shadandra. Hey, where's your accountability today? And I'm like, well, and so I'm like, okay. So then she's like, maybe we need to pivot, right? If not eating until you do it, because things are going to come up, right? Things are always going to come up and throw you off your schedule, off your game, whatever, but you still have to show up and be consistent to do what you said you're going to do. And that is the key of accountability, right?
Yes,
Having that accountability partner, having that accountability group, whatever that looks like. That's what we do with our clients as well. We are in
yes,
there every week with them. What did you said this is what you were going to do. What actions did you take? Did you follow through? And if not, and we've even set consequences with our clients as well, right? One lady's doing push-ups, so many not push-ups, sit-ups, right? Sit-ups, 50 sit-ups if she didn't, follow through with what she said she was going to do. So it has to mean something to you. And so when I had my little cheats are going on or whatever, I'm like, all right, let's be more realistic. Like, let me break the fast in the morning and then I won't eat again until it's done. And so, that was more realistic for me. And that way I'm able to and that also gave me a better consequence too, because I was like not even taking my vitamins in the morning. I'm like, okay, at least this will help me take my vitamins in the morning. That's the only time I get to do it, if I don't do my outreach. So the consequence has to be motivating enough that you are going to stick to it, that you are going to do it because you are committed. And if you don't have someone holding you to that consequence, to that outreach or that action that you're trying to tie that consequence to, then sis, you're going to let yourself off the hook.
mm-hmm.
That's why it's so important to get around people who can hold you to that, because just like we said before, that's your why. That is your purpose.
Yeah.
And if you are not stepping into your purpose because you're not willing to show up
Mhm.
consistently, you're not willing to do the work, you're not willing for whatever reason, you're just not doing it,
Mhm.
right? A lot of times, the just not doing it is out of fear,
Mhm.
out of self sabotage, out of doubt, out of all those things, that head trash going on, that again, you need to position yourself with like minded people, coaches like Coach LaDondra and myself, to help pull you up out of that
Yeah.
and say, you know what, that's enough of that, right? There's no more head trash that needs to be holding you back, because we are daughters of the King. We are put here on earth for a reason, right? There are other people on the other side of your fear waiting for you to show up. And because you continue to allow fear to hold you back, they're not being served in the way that only you can serve them.
Yes.
And that relationship piece. There may be so many other people doing exactly what you want to do, and that may hold you back. But you know what? Those people that are your people, they don't have that relationship connection with the other people that are providing that same product or service, because they don't have your story. And your people are not connecting to that other person's story. They're waiting to connect to your story, but you're not showing up telling that story. So that kind of went off the rails because we were talking about consequences, but it's
No, that's good.
it's really, really important to build those relationships with your people. So sis, if you're not showing up and taking the action and having the consequences that are going to mean something to you, because like Coach LaDondra said, it's all different. What's
Yeah.
a consequence for me is not a consequence for her, right? She can go a long time without eating and be okay.
I'm gonna be mad, but I can go. I'll be real persistent about it. I'll be like, I'm not worried about it. I drink some water.
Right, right. But when you have something that motivates you to take action, that's when, the beauty of who you are, what you stand for comes out, and then
Yeah.
people see that and then they're drawn to you. That's relationship marketing.
Yes.
Coach
Yes.
Ladondra, take us home.
That's good stuff. I don't know how well I'm gonna take us home, but I'll get us where we need to go. So I will say this: don't be a hearer. Do something with what you've heard today. You've taken the time to hear this lunch bite. So what's going to be your action items? Here you go. Number one, I want you to identify what's going to be the relationship marketing system that you're going to use to help you to grow those relationships and stay consistent in following up. Number two, um, pick your frequency. How many days are you going to do your outreach? Is this going to be 3 times out of the week? Is this going to be 4 times out of the week? 5 times? And here's a tip: this depends on your goal. So if you're really trying to be aggressive about reaching a certain milestone in your business, you need to pick it up and you need to increase your outreach. If you're okay with kind of going at a slower pace, then hey, you can go at it a little bit more casually. The key here though is to be consistent and to identify well, let me say this: to create alignment that goes along with your goals. That's the key. The third thing is I want y'all to put this in the chat. Like, don't
Mhm.
listening, like, come in, you're catching this on the replay. Tell us what you're going to do. Even if you have to go back and listen to it and say, okay, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to be accountable. Remember, we're talking about accountability. We can keep ourselves, we can say, hey, I'm not going to worry about it. But you not worrying about it, it's not going to get you anywhere. Let us hold you accountable as a sisterhood. And you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm using this. This is how many times per week I'm going to be reaching out, and then just be consistent. And I want to know what your consequence is. If you don't show up, what's that consequence? Are you not eating? Are you not, you got to pay somebody? Do you have to do some extraneous workout? What is it? I want you to pick something that's going to be motivating, because this is about you. Okay. Um, I think that covers this. Y'all gotten a lot of meat today. These are things that we're teaching our Woke Next Level ladies, and we are helping them to walk this out because again, everybody is different, and I want y'all to really realize that. And you got to realize, like Coach Don said, where are you energetically? Because our morning, evening, afternoon, like be real with yourself, and we really walk it through with our clients to help them to see where they are so that they can be real with themselves and they don't shoot on themselves. The shooting on yourself is not going to get you anywhere. Should, I'm not saying that the other word, that's not going to get you anywhere, but identifying where you are and creating a system and a strategy around that and accountability, that's what's going to get you results. So that's all we got for today. But I will just, y'all gonna keep hearing this because you need to be in the room for the Woke Leaders Conference. That's happening September the 23rd through the 24th. We go to ladondrahervey.com/conference, and tickets are available. Why they're available? Because I know that this is going to be a phenomenal event and you need to be in the room. I don't want them to sell out on you. So go to ladondrahervey.com/conference. Until then, we'll see you next Thursday and we'll see you in September. All right, guys. Bye.